This last video on our romp through different types of feminism, which has been basically loosely organised around a timeline, is cyberfeminism. Cyberfeminism very much arose from the early through the mid 1990s and very heavily into the 2000s. One of the earliest cyberfeminism proponents was Donna Haraway, who looks at the cyborg self, looking at the way that we adopt new communications technologies, biotechnologies, and she says they're the crucial tools for recrafting our body. These tools embody and enforce new social relations for women worldwide. And she was looking at the way that new technologies of the body literally grafted into the body, as well as new ways of communicating, very much allowed for new conceptions of the self. And with particularly as cyberfeminism came into its own, many people looked at the idea that the internet and cyber connectivity, with its ability to be whoever you wanted, such as having disembodied internet identities and ways to communicate with people all around the world, would allow for greater connection between women and would also allow for new ways of both being and doing gender and feminism. However, there was also concern that internet would also allow greater exploitation of and violence to women, both real and virtual, including things such as different types of porn, deep fakes, etc. In cyberfeminisms, there are debates over reproductive technologies like IVF. Some cyberfeminists are interestingly against IVF because it is a reification of women as birth givers and ignores the idea of women as autonomous. Other cyberfeminists embrace the technologies as allowing others to engage in parenthood. A lot of these debates do ignore the very real issues around the importance of reproductive technology for some LGBT people. Cyberfeminism in particular has been great around making spaces for women and non-cisgendered people online, about creating spaces for debate, discussion and activism. So again, you can have activist activities such as marches, etc., all around the world, organised over the internet. And that's been happening with the various pussy hat marches against Trump, and then some years later the Black Lives Matter marches that have happened in 2020. It also creates new methodologies for doing feminism, such as the Me Too movement, where people can more easily share their stories, basically pick up the rock and show people what lies under it, tell people and normalize that such things happen to a lot of people, not just one, and put their voices together to actually make a difference, to pressure companies, to pressure media outlets and organizations to actually cover the issues and respond to them. There are some who work around ideas of post-humanity, such as Bell and Kennedy, the idea that we can come to a space beyond what our current conceptions of humanity and binary gender are. However, there has of course been some downside to the cyber world, such as backlashes against women online, the use of online technologies to target, harass and stalk women, such as Anita Sarkeesian, and the Gamergate activities, etc. Back in 1996, Dale Spender wrote, terms such as domineering, bitch, bossy and castrating have all been used to describe women who take up more than 30% of a conversation space. While she was studying a range of places, including university lectures, she found that where women's voices took up more than 30% of the conversation, there was an assumption by everyone that they dominated, both the men and the women, though men tended to perceive that women dominated to a greater degree than women did. When it reached parity, so 50-50, there was an overwhelming perception that women had strongly dominated the conversation. And so there is that backlash online. The idea that women's voices are being heard more has led to backlash by those who perceive women's voices as being heard at all, as being a domination of discussion. So the internet can also facilitate a range of harms to women, including non-consensual porn, the use of the publishing of people's private photos onto various sites, exploitation, and oppression. Cyberfeminism has somewhat evolved. There is a new feminism on the block, so-called xenofeminism, and I've given you a link after this video. Xenofeminism strongly strives even past cyberfeminism to take up the idea that new technologies should be embraced with a definite activist view and a globalist view of taking an active role in dismantling the patriarchy and other forms of oppression. It is a clearly intersectional movement. Relatively new, as I said, and very much building on cyberfeminism, but also very much rejecting the ideas of local activism, local movements to eschew that in favour of the global, and also rejecting the ideas of ecofeminism, etc., and the importance of nature in feminism, to very much embrace a technological future. So I'll let you read their manifesto yourself. It's a bit of an interesting read. And so that's cyberfeminism and xenofeminism with their embrace of technology and moving into the new world.